everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. And this is a follow-up to the video I dropped earlier tonight. So if you haven't heard, the feds handed down a new indictment today where they are now charging R. Kelly with marrying Aaliyah, well, not marrying Aaliyah, but for offering a bribe to someone, to a government official, to give her a fake ID so that the two of them could get married. And so if you watched, I can't remember when, it was one of my earlier videos where I actually talk about this alleged marriage between him and Aaliyah. And I pointed out that it is so weird that after all these years, and then with all of these allegations resurfacing, that the people who were involved in this alleged wedding have never come forward. Like, who was the person that created the fake ID? Who was the person that was the officiant? And I actually gave the guy's name. He was some guy that was affiliated with a church in Chicago who allegedly performed the ceremony. Who was the person in the clerk's office that received the marriage certificate? Who was the person that filed the marriage certificate? Like, who was the clerk of the court whose seal went on that? Like, where are all these people in the story? And why have they not come forward to say, yes, this did happen, or no, it didn't happen? And so now all of a sudden there's this mystery person who we all believe is Demetrius Smith, because we know he was called in. The girl, I think her name is Tammy Washington, who's over a blog. She had actually sent me some information a couple of months ago where she had interviewed Demetrius Smith, and he basically went in, was interviewed by the feds a couple of months ago. And so I try not to cover or pay too much attention to the people, you know, outside of the case. So if he is indeed the informant that they are talking about, then Steve Greenberg needs to go back and pull some records off of YouTube where he's done all these interviews, because he was the one that said that he set up, that he had nothing to do with the marriage, but he set up or made the arrangements because he had the connection with the person who could get the fake ID to Aaliyah. So it seems to me like he is the one that should be in trouble. But I guess the feds are saying that R. Kelly bribed him into going and getting this fake ID. So this just further shows that their case is so weak that they're just trying to go with whatever they can get and make it stick. And so I'm also wondering what in the world is Aaliyah's mom thinking at this point, now that, you know, this is resurfacing. Her daughter, you know, died in a tragic plane crash. She had to deal with the Surviving Lies docuseries coming out, and them, you know, saying horrible things about Aaliyah in that docuseries. And now this being a part of this, you know, witch hunt that they have against R. Kelly. So if you guys remember, a few months ago, Steve Greenberg made the comment that the indictment that R. Kelly was facing in New York wasn't the real indictment, that it was what they call a placeholder indictment, and that he was anticipating that a superseding indictment was coming down the line. So evidently he had some kind of insights that this is what they had brewing and this was coming up. And so I'm going to go ahead. We're going to have another reading. So you guys know this is going to take a while. And so I'm going to read the superseding indictment that was sent to the grand jury to get this new charge against R. Kelly. Oh, and I also want you guys to know that I'm not going to be able to do too much editing to this video. I mentioned a few days ago that the speaker, the sound card on my laptop has gone out. So I'm really not savvy on, editing videos on my tablet and my phone and all that stuff. So this is probably going to be a rough video, so bear with me. I'm just going to read through this and we will be done, and then we can take it to the comments and talk about it some more. So this was filed today on December 5th. It says introduction, at all times relevant to this superseding indictment unless otherwise indicated. And then it says the enterprise. Number one, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, and individuals who served as managers, bodyguards, drivers, personal assistants, and runners for R. Kelly, as well as members of Kelly's entourage, comprised an enterprise known as the enterprise within the meaning of 18 U.S.C. 1961-4. That is, the enterprise constituted a group of individuals associated in fact that was engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the enterprise. 2. The purposes of the enterprise were to promote R. Kelly's music and the R. Kelly brand and to recruit women and girls to engage in illegal activity with Kelly. By promoting R. Kelly's music and the R. Kelly brand, the members of the enterprise expected to receive financial opportunities and personal benefits, including increased power and status with the enterprise. Like, child, they are. This sounds like one of them urban lit books, okay? So number 3, in connection with the enterprise, Kelly and other members of the enterprise traveled throughout the United States and abroad to perform at concert venues to promote the R. Kelly brand and to recruit women and girls to engage in illegal activity with Kelly. Four, when Kelly attended and performed at concerts and other events, Kelly and or members of the enterprise on Kelly's behalf invited women and girls backstage and to other events following Kelly's live performances. These women and girls were often offered wristbands that signified that they were authorized to attend an event. There, Kelly relied upon members of the enterprise to ensure that only those authorized to attend were allowed at the event and to manage the flow of women and girls who were directly interacting with Kelly. 5. When Kelly identified a woman or girl who he wished to see again, he either gave his contact information to the woman or girl or obtained her contact information or relied upon members of the enterprise to do so. Following these events, Kelly communicated with certain of these women and girls by telephone, including through the use of traditional telephone calls, text messages, iMessages, and FaceTime. As part of this communication, Kelly often requested that the women and girls provide him with photographs of themselves. 6. Kelly and other members of the enterprise also arranged for the women and girls to travel to see Kelly on occasion, including at concerts throughout the United States and related events. To facilitate their travel, Kelly directed the women and girls to contact a member of the enterprise, who then arranged travel for the women and girls. When the women and girls arrived at the lodging, which was typically selected by a member of the enterprise, a member of the enterprise usually provided them with instructions. In addition, members of the enterprise took steps to ensure that the women and girls did not interact with other women and girls who Kelly planned to see. Members of the enterprise then arranged for the women and girls to attend his concerts and positioned them such that Kelly could see them during his concert. Okay. Number 7, Kelly promulgated numerous rules that many of his sexual partners were required to follow, including the following. A, the women and girls were not permitted to leave their room without receiving permission from Kelly, including to eat or go to the bathroom. The women and girls were required to wear baggy clothing when they were not accompanying Kelly to an event or unless otherwise instructed by Kelly. C, the women and girls were not permitted to look at other men and instead were told to keep their heads down. And D, the women and girls were required to call Kelly daddy. 8, the enterprise operated within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, including overseas. Methods and means of the enterprise. 9, among the means and methods of which Kelly and his associates participated in the conduct of the affairs of the enterprise were the following. A, committing, attempting, and aiding and abetting the commission of crimes, conspiring to commit crimes, including but not limited to engaging in sexual activity with girls under 18 years old, engaging in and facilitating sexual activity without disclosing a sexually transmitted disease Kelly had contracted, producing child pornography, bribery, and extortion. B, demanding absolute commitment to Kelly and not tolerating dissent. C, obtaining sensitive information about members and associates of the enterprise to maintain control over them. D, recruiting and grooming sexual partners for Kelly. And E, isolating women and girls from friends and family and making them dependent on Kelly for their financial well-being. The defendant, number 10, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, was the leader of the enterprise. Count 1, racketeering. 11, the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 10 are realleged and incorporated as if fully set forth in this paragraph. 12, in or about and between January 1994 and the present, both dates being approximate and inclusive within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, together with others, being a person employed by and associated with the enterprise, an enterprise that engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, did knowingly and intentionally conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity as defined in Title 18 United States Code sections 1961 parenthesis 1 and 1961 parenthesis 5, consisting of the Racketeering Act set forth below. Racketeering Act number 1, bribery. 13, on or about August 30th, 1994, within the Northern District of Illinois, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally cause another individual to promise and tender to public office and public employee property, to wit, United States currency, that such public officer and public employee was not authorized by law to accept, with the intent to influence and performance of an act related to the employment and function of public officer and public employee, to wit, the creation of a fraudulent identification document for Jane Doe number 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury in violation of Illinois Criminal Code sections 5-33-1 parenthesis A and 5/5-1. And so we know that that's Aaliyah because they have now made her Jane Doe number 1 in the superseding indictment. Racketeering Act number 2, sexual exploitation of a child, Jane Doe number 2, in or about and between May 1999 and October 15, 1999, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally employ, use, persuade, induce, entice, and coerce a minor, to wit, Jane Doe number 2, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of producing one or more visual depictions of such conduct, which visual depictions were produced using materials that had been mailed, shipped, and transported in interstate and foreign commerce in violation of Title 18, United States Code Sections 2251, parenthesis A, and 2251, parenthesis E. So, Racketeering Act 3, kidnapping Jane Doe number 3. In or about and between 2003 and 2004, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally secretly confine an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 3, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, against her will, and induce Jane Doe number 3 by deceit and enticement to go from one place to another, with intent secretly to confine her against her will, in violation of Illinois Criminal Code Sections 5-10-1 and 5/5-1. And then Racketeering Act number 4, it says the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, committed the following acts, either one of which alone constitutes Racketeering Act 4. A, transportation. Number 17, in or about and between 2003 and 2004, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 3, in interstate commerce, with intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of Illinois Criminal Code Sections 5/12-16, parenthesis A, parenthesis 6, effective 2002, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, 5/12-16, parentheses A, parenthesis 7, effective 2002, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, and 5/12-15, parenthesis A, parenthesis 2, effective 2000, criminal sexual abuse in violation of Title 18, United States Code Sections 241, parenthesis A and 2. B, coercion and enticement. Number 18, in or about and between 2003 and 2004, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 3, to travel in interstate commerce to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of Illinois Criminal Code Sections 5/12-16, parenthesis A, parenthesis 6, effective 2002, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, 5/12-16, parenthesis A, parenthesis 7, effective 2002, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, and 5/12-15, parenthesis A, parenthesis 2, effective 2000, criminal sexual abuse in violation of Title 18, United States Code 2422A and 2. And then it says Racketeering Act 5, the Mann Act, Jane Doe number 4, who we know is Azriel. 19, number 19, in or about and between May. Well, no, this isn't, I think this is Geronda. I take that back because I remember the numbers change. So now Jane Doe number 4 is Geronda Pace. It says in or about and between May 2009 and January 2010, both dates being approximate and inclusive within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual who had not attained the age of 18 years, to wit, Jane Doe 4, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of Illinois Criminal Code sections 5/12 through 16, parenthesis D, effective 2002, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, using one or more facilities and means of interstate commerce in violation of Title 18, United States Code sections 2422, parenthesis B and 2. Then Racketeering Act 6, forced labor, Jane Doe number 4. And this is number 20, in or about and between May 2009 and January 2010, both dates being approximate and inclusive within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally obtain the labor and services of a person, to wit, Jane Doe number 4, by means of force, threat, or force, physical restraint, and threats of physical restraint to that person or another person, by means of serious harm and threats of serious harm to that person or another person, by any means of a scheme, plan, and pattern intended to cause such person to believe that if that person did not perform such labor and services, such person would suffer serious harm and physical restraint, and a combination of such means in violation of Title 18 United States Code sections 1589, parenthesis A and 2. Racketeering Act 7, sexual exploitation of a child, Jane Doe number 4 again. Number 21, in or about and between May 2009 and January 2010, both dates being approximate and inclusive within the Northern District of Illinois and elsewhere, the defendant Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, and knowingly and intentionally employ, use, persuade, induce, entice, and coerce a minor, to wit, Jane Doe number 4, to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of producing one or more visual depictions of such conduct, which visual depictions were produced using materials that had been mailed, shipped, and transported in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce in violation of Title 18, United States Code sections 2251, parenthesis A, 2251E, and 2. Okay, so they're saying now that he made videos of Geronda. Is that what we're going with now? Racketeering Act 8. Mann Act, Jane Doe number 5. The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, committed the following acts, any one of which alone constitutes Racketeering Act 8. A. Transportation. 23. In or about July 2015, within the District of Connecticut and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 5, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, in interstate commerce, with intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of Connecticut General Statute sections 53A-71, parenthesis A, parenthesis 4, sexual assault in the second degree, and 53A-71, parenthesis A, parenthesis 10, sexual assault in the second degree in violation of Title 18 United States Code, sections 2421A and 2. B, coercion and enticement. 24. In or about July 2015, within the District of Connecticut and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual, to wit Jane Doe number 5, to travel in interstate commerce to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit violations of Connecticut General Statutes, sections 53A through 71A4, sexual assault in the second degree, and 53A-71A10, sexual assault in the second degree, in violation of Title 18 United States Code, sections 2422. C, coercion of a minor. 25. In about July 2015, within the District of Connecticut, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual who had not attained the age of 18 years, to wit Jane Doe number 5, to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit violations of Connecticut General Statutes, sections 53A-71, A4, sexual assault in the second degree. Then it gives those codes all over again. No need to go back through those. And then it says had not attained the age of 18, but I thought Faith Rogers was like 19 when she started dating him. So D, transportation of minors. 26. In or about July 2015, within the District of Connecticut and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual who had not attained the age of 18, to wit Jane Doe number 5, in interstate commerce with intent that the individual engaged in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit violations of Connecticut General Statute sections 53A, 71A4. Then it goes through with the codes again. Racketeering Act 9, Mann Act, Jane Doe number 5, 27. The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, committed the following acts, any one of which alone constitutes Racketeering Act 9. A, transportation. Number 28, in or about October 2015, within the Northern District of California and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual, to wit Jane Doe number 5, in interstate commerce with intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, and then to wit violations California Penal Law Section 261.5. And then it gives rape, abduction, carnal abuse of a child, and seduction in violation of Title 18. B, coercion and enticement. Number 29, in or about October 2015, within the Northern District of California and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual, to wit Jane Doe number 5, to travel in interstate commerce to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit violations of California Penal Law Section 261.5A. Then it has rape, abduction, carnal abuse of a child, and seduction in violation of Title 18 United States Code 2422A and 2. And I believe that's going to be the United States Code for all of these. C, coercion of a minor. In or about October 2015, within the Northern District of California, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual who had not attained the age of 18 years, to wit, Jane Doe number 5, to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of California Penal Law Section 261.5A, and then it gives the codes again. D, transportation of minors number 31 in or about October 2015 with the Northern District of California and elsewhere. The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual who had not obtained the age of 18, Jane Doe number 5, interstate commerce, with the intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, and it gives those same codes again. Racketeering Act number 10, Mann Act, Jane Doe number 6. Number 32, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, committed the following acts, either one of which alone constitutes Racketeering Act 10. A, transportation. 33. On or about May 18, 2017, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, in interstate commerce with intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of New York Penal Section 2305, exposure of infectious venereal disease, in violation of Title 18, and it gives the code again. So we know that this is Faith Rogers. Number 6 is Faith Rogers. Number 5 is Azriel. And then I'm going to have to go back and backtrack on the other ones. So B, coercion and enticement. Number 34, on or about May 18, 2017, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, to travel in interstate commerce, to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of New York Penal Law Section 120.20, reckless endangerment, and New York Public Health Law Section 2307, exposure of infectious venereal disease, in violation of Title 18 United States Code Sections 24, 22A and 2. Racketeering Act 11, forced labor, Jane Doe number 6. 35. On or about January 13, 2018, within the Central District of California and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally obtain the labor and services of a person, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, by means of force, threats of force, physical restraint, and threats of physical restraint to that person or another person, by means of serious harm and threats of serious harm to that person or another person, and by means of a scheme, plan, and pattern intended to cause such person to believe that if that person did not perform such labor and services, such person would suffer serious harm and physical restraint, and a combination of such means, in violation of Title 18 United States Code Sections 1589, A and 2, Racketeering Act 12, Ban Act, Jane Doe number 6. Number 36, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, committed the following acts, either one of which alone constitutes Racketeering Act 12. A, transportation. 37, on or about February 2nd, 2018, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, in interstate commerce with intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of New York Penal Law Section 120.20, reckless endangerment, and New York Public Health Law Section 2307, exposure of infectious venereal disease in violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 2421A and 2, B, coercion and enticement, on or about February 2nd, 2018, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere. The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, to travel in interstate commerce, to engage in sexual activity for which person can be charged with the criminal offense, to wit, violations of New York Penal Law Section 120.20, reckless endangerment, and New York Public Health Law Section 2307, exposure of infectious venereal disease in violation of Title 18 United States Code Sections 2422A and 2. Title 18 United States Code Sections 1962C, 1963, and 3551, etc. Sequence. Count 2, Mann Act, Transportation, Jane Doe number 6, 39. On or about May 18, 2017, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally transport an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, in interstate commerce, with intent that such individual engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of New York Penal Section 120.20, reckless endangerment, Public Health Law Section 2307. Count 3, Mann Act, coercion and enticement, Jane Doe number 6, number 40, on or about May 18, 2017, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce an individual, to wit, Jane Doe number 6, to travel in interstate commerce, to engage in sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, to wit, violations of New York Penal Code 120.20, reckless endangerment, the New York Public Health, blah, blah, blah. Count 4, Mann Act, Transportation, Jane Doe, 41, on or about February 2nd, 2018, and it basically the same redundant language. Count 5, Mann Act, coercion and enticement, Jane Doe number 6. This is number 42, on or about February 2nd, and then it gives the same verbiage for coercion and enticement. Criminal forfeiture allegation as to count 1. Number 43, the United States hereby gives notice to the defendant that upon his conviction of the offense charged in count 1, the government will seek forfeiture in accordance with Title 18 United States Code Section 1963A, which requires any person convicted of such offense to forfeit a. any interest the person acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 1962B, any interest in security of, claim against, or property or contractual right of any kind affording a source of influence over any enterprise which the person has established, operated, controlled, conducted, or participated in the conduct of, in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 1962, and C, any property constituting or derived from any proceeds which the person obtained directly or indirectly from racketeering activity in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 1862. Number 44, if any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendant, A, cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, B, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third party, C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, D, has been substantially diminished in value, or E, has been commingled with other property which cannot be divided sufficiently without difficulty, it is the intent of the United States, pursuant to Title 18, United States Code Section 1963M, to seek forfeiture of any property of the defendant up to the value of forfeitable property described in this forfeiture allegation. Title 18 United States Code Section 1963A and 1963M. A true bill, four-person, looks like Jean Turner. Richard Donahue did not sign. Somebody named Bridget signed this as the acting United States attorney. United States courts, superseding indictment. So it sounds to me like the government about to try and take R. Kelly's music rights, because I guess they're going to try and say that he was able to do concerts and sell at concert halls and make money, you know, through his actions in this racketeering scheme that they have come up with. So that's going to be real interesting. And so for those of you that keep saying that they already seized all of his assets, that is not true. They first have to find him guilty to seize his assets. Okay, and then also there was some discovery information that was sent to Doug Anton in a letter dated today. It says, enclosed, please find the government's discovery in accordance with Rule 16 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. This letter supplements the government's previous productions of letters dated August 15, 2019 and August 16, 2019. The government also renews its request for a reciprocal discovery from the defendant. One, the government's discovery, A, documents and tangible objects. Please find enclosed a CD that contains the following items. These are items subject to the terms of the protective order entered by the court on or before August 13, 2019. 90 Cook County Clerk's Office marriage records for Robert Kelly and Jane Doe number 1. 91 Wayne County Clerk's Office annulment records for Robert Kelly and Jane Doe number 1. 92 birth certificate for Jane Doe number 1. 93 Illinois Department of Human Services records. 94 Illinois Secretary of State driving and auto records for Robert Kelly. 94A business records certification for Discovery Exhibit 94. 95 birth certificate for Jane Doe number 4. 96 photographs taken by the Chicago Police Department on or about February 11th, 2002 and June 7th, 2002. 97 Albany Police Department records for a concert held on August 31st, 1994. 97A business records certification for Discovery Exhibit 97. 98 Resorts World Casino, New York City records for a concert held on August 26, 2016. 99 Metropolitan Correctional Center, Chicago records for Robert Kelly and another inmate. 96 Metropolitan Correctional Center, Chicago records for Robert Kelly. Oh, I just read that. I'm sorry. 100 Southwest Airlines records for air travel on August 16, 2016, September 12, 2016, November 17th, 2018, and November 20th, 2018 for various individuals. 100A business records certification for Discovery Exhibit 100. 101 American Airlines records for air travel on December 22nd, 2013, March 26, 2014, April 12th, 2016, April 13th, 2016, October 28th, 2016, December 15th, 2017, and February 5th, 2018 for various individuals. 101 business records certification for Discovery Exhibit 106. 102, United Airlines records for travel on September 23rd, 2016, October 10, 2017, and October 11th, 2017. 103, Southwest Airlines records for July 16, 2015 for various individuals, including Jane Doe number 5. 104, JP Morgan Chase records. 105, Midwest Bank records. 106, JP Morgan Chase records. 107, Bank of America records for RSK Enterprises LLC and Some Brother Love LLC. 108, Illinois Secretary of State records for Some Brother LLC. 109, Georgia Secretary of State's records for RSK Enterprise LLC. 110, Delaware Secretary of State's records for RSK Enterprises LLC. 111, bank records provided by Jane Doe number 4. 112, Florida Department of Transportation records. 113, Illinois Tollway records. 114, Riverlink records. 115, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey records. You may examine the physical evidence discoverable under Rule 16, including original documents, by calling the undersigned to arrange a mutually convenient time. Very truly yours, Richard P. Donahue, but signed by Elizabeth G. Geddes. And so that's the discovery, I guess, for this new superseding indictment that is also still under a protective order. And so that was it. Let me go ahead and pull up this image where I had who all these Jane Does were. And it seems like they may have just pushed it down one to make Aaliyah the first person. Okay, so in the original Guess Who These People Are, it was Jane Doe number 1 was Tracy Sampson. Jane Doe number 2 was Lanita Carter. Jane Doe number 3 was Geronda Pace. Jane Doe number 4 was Azriel. And Jane Doe number 5 was Faith Rogers. So now let's shift everybody one space. And so now we have Aaliyah as number 1. And then I'm assuming these same people are going to move down. But I didn't know that the Tracy Sampson girl had a video involved. So they may have changed who some of these people actually are, because I thought Tracy Sampson was the girl who worked for Jive Records, and that she said that there were unwelcome advances where he was kissing on her and stuff like that. I don't remember there being like an actual sexual encounter or any video taken. I thought that was the Tiffany Hawkins girl. And then Lanita Carter, I'm not sure if she's still, because that didn't sound like her story either. So I'm not sure what's going on with these Jane Does, but we know Geronda Pace is still in the mix, and we know that Azriel is obviously still in the mix, and we know that Faith Rogers is still in the mix. So I'm not sure about Lanita Carter and the Tracy Sampson girl, or maybe they're just changing the wording of, like I said, I believe this is just a scare tactic to try and get him to plead out to some kind of charge so that they can say that they can have a victory. But according to how they have this indictment worded, it doesn't really apply to the first two people that we have on these images. But we know that Aaliyah is now Jane Doe number 1, and I don't know how they're planning on proving that, because I can't see the government official coming forth and saying, yes, I took a bribe. And if you're just going by Demetrius Smith's word, where is the proof that he paid this person, that R. Kelly gave him the money, that R. Kelly told him to go and secure this? Like, it has to be something other than him just saying it. There has to be some other evidence. So just wanted to bring this update to you guys and reread the new indictment to you. And you let me know what you think. Okay, leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.